So what I'm doing is I'm at the gym, in between some sets and working out. Just wanted to talk to you guys about a few things. So as you can see, the topic of this video is about tracking your macros and tracking your food intake, and whether or not it's a permanent thing or it's something you have to do for a while. So let's get into it. Also, quick plug, shaker cups are still available, ltlapparel.com. Tracking, basically what is it if you don't already know? Tracking is basically just essentially logging and keeping track of all of your food intake. That is, I think, one of the number one keys to starting your weight loss journey or your fitness journey, is to know what is going into your body. So that way you know, depending on your goals, obviously most of y'all are here, if you're on my channel, probably for weight loss. So then the goal is to be at a caloric deficit. That's how you lose weight. If you take in 2,500 calories, if you burn 2,700 calories over time, you will obviously lose weight. It's one of the reasons I think the fad diets you see, these get skinny quick programs, 20-day fixes, all that kind of stuff, seem to not last for people, is because they're not getting educated on nutrition, what their intake goals should be, and basically the science behind it. So not very many of us are taught from an early age what serving sizes look like. We're just given what's on our plate, or we're just given a plate and told us, to go eat and get what you want. So again, that's why tracking is so important. You learn what serving sizes of things look like. You start learning by continuing to put that chicken on the scale, what 6 ounces looks like, what 8 ounces looks like, what a tablespoon of peanut butter looks like, what a cup of rice looks like. So the goal in all of that is to, at some point down the road, maybe you don't have to track anymore, and you can just kind of track mentally. So you don't always want to be tied to your phone or some tracking device or paper. You're not going to want to write down everything you eat for the rest of your life. But that first, I'm going to say couple years probably, it's pretty important. I mean, this December will be 2 years into my journey. I've had short periods of not tracking, and even I've let that get out of control, because it's hard. Because once you're not tracking it, if you've had a problem with overeating, if you're not tracking, then you mentally just kind of, it turns off. Like, you're like, oh, well, I didn't have that much for breakfast, I'm feeling a little hungry, it's okay, I'm just going to eat this. It's not that bad. But it starts adding up faster than you think, because you're not actually seeing the numbers add up. So I'm still not at a point in my life, in my journey, that I think I'll never track again. Now, I did have a few months here recently where I wasn't, because the goal of that few months was to be at a surplus of calories and to try to put on some weight, hopefully more, lean muscle mass than fat. That didn't go as well as I would have hoped it had went. Like I said, I thought I was more prepared for not tracking than I was. So you live and you learn, but the point is, I know how to get back into tracking so it didn't spiral out of control, basically. So I don't know if this is making any sense, but you start tracking for the purpose of educating yourself. It's not to punish yourself. It's not to be super restrictive and you're never going to be able to go out and eat with friends again. But you start learning. Before I started tracking anything, I had no idea what kind of calories and macros were in McDonald's or at Applebee's or Chinese food or whatever. I had no real knowledge of what I was putting in my body. I knew it was not the best food, because it's common sense. You've heard, I know Obese to Beast, when he started his journey, he said again, he didn't know anything about nutrition. Same here. I didn't know anything, basically, other than common sense stuff. I knew that grilled chicken was better than fried chicken. I knew vegetables were better than, French fries. I mean, so just give comments and stuff like that. But the thing you don't understand is sometimes that's not always true. You have to be very aware, especially when you're eating out, because if you're not paying attention, you can get vegetables, but does that restaurant, you know, cook them in butter and oil? I mean, you may have been better off just getting French fries that day. So it really has to do with being aware. Obviously, eating at home is always going to be more accurate because you know exactly what you put in that pan or on that baking sheet or whatever. So that would be another huge tip, is to eat at home as much as possible. That way, if you do go out, you usually have some wiggle room because you've been really on point with your at-home meals. And when tracking while you're eating out, I'm always the type that overestimates a little bit. So when you're tracking food out, you're never going to get perfect. Like, you're going to look up stuff and it's going to be their best guess at it. But every restaurant, the guy cooking in the kitchen is probably a little bit different, does a little bit more of this. I mean, are they getting out the real serving sizes? They're not scaling, they're not putting their meat on the scale before they put it on your plate. So just try to be conscious of that and maybe overestimate a little bit. That way, you know, if your goal is to lose weight, then you can still make sure you're in a deficit, because that's the key, guys. You have to be at a caloric deficit to lose weight. I also think tracking helps with busting through some of those myths about how fats are horrible and carbs are horrible, and those are the things you can't eat if you want to lose weight. The fact is, like I've said earlier, it's about a calorie deficit. Most of the time when people are struggling with weight loss and they have, you know, weight issues, a lot of times their diet is very high in carbs and fats and they lack sufficient protein. But that doesn't mean you can't eat carbs and that carbs are the reason that you gain the weight. The reason that you gain the weight is because you ate them in a surplus. If you eat too much protein, the same thing will happen. The cool thing about tracking is you start tracking, you start seeing results, and you learn, okay, I can still eat carbs and I can still have an appropriate amount of fat and I can fit these things into my diet and enjoy them and not feel like I'm punishing myself, because this is not about punishing yourself for a short amount of time so that you can go back to this old way of eating. The old way of eating has got to be gone forever, because otherwise you're gonna just get back to the same results. The weight will come back if you're eating more calories than you're burning. That's just unfortunately the way the science works behind it. But the cool thing is, on top of tracking, you start working out, you start, you know, lifting weights. What that can do for your body is increase the amount of calories your body burns just functioning, because muscle mass burns more calories than fat does sitting on your body. So if you are lifting weights and stimulating those muscles, you burn more calories than somebody that's not weight training and just doing cardio. So I have a video about that if you want to go check it out, about cardio versus weight training and why both are important. Not just one, both of them are very important. So go check out that video. I'll try to link it in the description if I remember. So, all right, guys. So just want to wrap up this video, but tracking is an educational tool. It's not a forever thing. I don't know how long it'll be for you before you get control of it. Everybody's a little bit different. Some people learn very quickly. Some people take a little bit longer. So just start tracking. I think that's one of the easiest steps you can do. I'm talking about don't change anything you're eating. Just start tracking it, and you'll start seeing what is in the foods you're eating, and you'll say, wow, maybe I should try this. Let's see what the difference is. And then you'll start figuring out that you can eat a lot more volume of food if it's the right kinds of food. So anyway, guys, just wanted to share some thoughts with you this morning in between some sets. And so if you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. More content will be coming soon. Hopefully I'm going to try to upload at least once a week. I'm going to try twice, bear with me, guys. If you have any questions, any video suggestions, please leave them in the comments below or shoot us a message on Instagram. Our Instagram link is below. It's learningtolive_fitness. And that's it, guys. I appreciate you watching. As always, thanks for the support.